Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, demographers, orthographers and amateur pornographers, welcome along to the Joe Spiver YouTube channel where we discuss books and little else. And you join me, frankly, I must have moved overnight to the Outer Hebrides in Scotland because at time of recording, roughly about 12:30 or 1 o'clock, we have yet to receive proper daylight. I couldn't read until 9:30 this morning because I refused to actually use electricity during the day, and the light wasn't sufficient for me to read, so I couldn't read until, as I say, about 9:30, 10. It's just so terribly dark, and that's one of the things that has made me a little peeved this morning, a little bitter or embittered. And the second is the fact that I've been watching Laura Kuenssberg's three-hour-long political series entitled State of Chaos, in which essentially we have a flotilla of Conservative imposters. Let us remember, folks, that the Conservative Party of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is now only an instrument through which the sons of gentlemen can obtain office. It has no political use, no ideological purpose, nothing like that, no good causes or anything of that nature. And it has some of those most morally repugnant individuals: Nadine Dorries, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Steve Baker, three people of many who knowingly led an entire British people down the garden path in 2016 and meant that we left the European Union. And they, within the documentary, they virtue signal, they demonise Dominic Cummings, who a person for whom they owe the largest thanks to their 80-seat majority. The man who single-handedly changed British politics forever, who broke COVID rules, they demonise him. Laura Kuenssberg doesn't ask very pincered questions. She's clearly chummy with 50, 60, 70% of the people she interviews and doesn't really get to the heart of it. But yeah, I was just considering before, I have today a Watching BookTube Tag. I was mentioned by Steve Donoghue over the weekend and I think tagged in a rather bizarre kind of way, so I'm going to do that today. But I realised that I have quite a few American viewers, so I thought I would analogize, as it were. I know you will give me permission to analogize often on this channel. I know that I've got, from my analytics, I don't do my own analytics, but my people tell me I'm often too busy posing for photos in Calvin Klein boxes to do any of this other stuff apart from record. My people tell me that lots of you guys hail from America, and you might be people for whom the Brexit issue is a little bit of a quandary or a little bit of a mystery. Don't worry, it's for us too, but I'll just try and explain it simply. Say, for example, you're having a dinner party and there are 100 guests coming, and for quite some time you'd had roast beef and yada yada yada, and none of it was very exciting. All of a sudden somebody wants to have potatoes, and so you gather the 100 people and say, right, it has been pointed out to us that to save scuffles, we think that lots of you would quite like potatoes. Let us put it to a vote. You put it to a vote, you hand out 100 slips, and after 15 minutes the voting ensues, and you get a verdict back which states that 52 out of those 100 guests want potatoes. So it's clear that potatoes have the very, 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 very tiniest of majorities. And so you then go, right, fair enough, you 48 are going to have potatoes in some fashion, but we're going to leave it up to the 52 as to what type of potatoes you want. And then it all starts. Some people want mashed potatoes because that's the closest potato that non-potato lovers will like. Then some people want roast potatoes because that's got the centrality of the roast potato is best. Some people just wanted potatoes or voted for potatoes because everybody else wanted potatoes. That is essentially the Brexit vote. For all those concerned, it's political idiocy, it's transgressions, it's weird short-termisms, all sorts of crude political tactics that led to a decision whereby one country, I think for the first time in history, imposed economic sanctions on itself. But that's my small socio-political rant for the day done. We have, if any of you are remaining out there and you haven't just clicked off this, the Watching BookTube Tag, which is what Steve tag me in, mention me in, and so every time I feel when Steve either comments or has me on for a chat or mentions me in a video, I do feel as if I feel like the sort of snotty postgraduate who writes speeches for a politician, and then the immensely popular politician every once in a while just grabs him and sort of brings him in and says, "Yeah, this is the guy," and then everyone sort of bows their heads a lot. That's what it feels like. It's a little bit paradigmatic, I think, but anyway. So let's just get on with this tag. There are 10 questions. Hopefully I shall skip through them and give you some enthralling answers as ever. So question 1. How many channels are you subscribed to? And I had a brief check and I'm subscribed to 18, which was a little bit of a small number. I thought I was subscribed to more. Because of a morning when I go on my subscriptions page, I feel like I have a lot more videos than that. But yeah, 18 was the number, I think. And then number 2, when do you normally watch BookTube? And that, especially now that winter is coming into play, and there will be no light until approximately 10:30 or 11 a.m. I usually watch BookTube videos first thing in the morning and usually very last thing at night. Very often to get to sleep too. I can sleep in silence, but lots of the time when I'm sort of half drowsy, I do like some kind of background just to tip me off. So many of you who are out there who think you're babbling into the ether are in fact every day creating a little lullaby for me to fall asleep to. So it's usually first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Question 3. How do you balance BookTube watching, reading and making your own videos? So, I mean, that's kind of asking, it's kind of like asking, oh, how do you balance going to the toilet whilst you read and watch BookTube videos? These require very, very little of me. I'm always ranting and raving, as I've said in the past, in my kitchens and living rooms and hallways and all around the Hull and District area. And so it doesn't call much upon me to talk for 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes on camera. So how do I balance it? It just happens, and it comes naturally to me, and I enjoy doing it, and so obviously I include it in my daily schedule. Reading I do in the mornings, in the afternoons and the evenings, interspersed with walks out, with brewing beverages, libations, with turning on the television and watching whatever it is that's on, and ringing friends, my many friends that I have in real life, I ring. But that's about it. Yeah, the balance is easy because this just feels natural. It's like, as I say, it's like asking how someone balances eating with work. You just need to do it and do it. You feel as though it's some kind of calling. Question 4. Is there a difference between the videos you like watching and the videos you like making? Now, I've got a quite similar answer to the one that Steve gave in his video. He likes watching, as I do, the vlog video. Whereby someone might go down to the local bookstore and browse and buy and then report on their purchases. I really like that video, that type of video. Obviously that involves an editorial team and 17 other people to follow you around with state-of-the-art cameras, and it requires you looking a fool in public, which I aren't much of a fan of. It requires taking a camera out into the real world and sort of being the sort of really annoying person in the bookstores who just looks like they're making their own documentary or something. The idea of making it doesn't appeal to me. My life is extraordinarily dull and boring, and so a little piece of my life would not be enjoyable to anybody of any description, except for some of the police sergeants, for when that case comes up. But beyond that, no, I love watching those videos because they're very insightful, and to see someone's place of birth or their hometown is really interesting. But I can't seem to put it together. And also the bookshelf tour, I do not. I believe I'm right in asserting, apart from my dad's, I don't have a bookshelf to put things on. I have little. There is a sort of a television stand, which is what this iPad's sitting on. There's a few doors open there with 10, 15, 20 books in each one. There's a sort of bookshelf there which doubles as a cocktail, my mother's cocktail cabinet. It's got more whiskey on it than books, so there's a few on there. But really all of my books are sort of piled and shoved into corners and in bags. And so I can't, until I purchase one and actively and volitionally go out and order a bookshelf, I won't be able to do a bookshelf tour video because I don't own one. My dad's got a few, and his is full, as you know, of militaria and, you know, World War II illustrated and things like that. So I don't have a bookshelf that I own, and so I can't do a bookshelf tour either. And I love watching those videos, see what the hell, how people arrange it, whether it's alphabetically or tonally with colours or things like that. So I would love to do a bookshelf tour video because I think I'm probably approaching 200, 300 books, something like that. So I could do a mini little series, but I don't have a bookshelf, so I can't do that. And that would also require editing, which I am an avowed enemy of. Number 5, who was the first booktuber you subscribed to, and do you still watch them? Now, the first booktuber I subscribed to was a gentleman by the name of Mark Nash, who is British like myself, and when I first became interested in reading via the work of Will Self, primarily with his articles in Esquire, which talked about on tallness, on terrible dentistry, on psychogeography and things like that. When he first drew me in, I naturally went to YouTube and said, you know, videos on Will Self interview or reactions to Will Self, and he has done I would recommend it here, I may even tag it in the video, heaven forbid, a 45-minute long dissection of Will Self's entire oeuvre from the Juvenilia, which are really weird things like Dr. Mukti and what else has got? The Butt and Quantity Theory of Insanity, which Mark calls impenetrable, which I actually found quite entertaining and enjoyable. And then he goes through his neo-modernist trilogy, Umbrella, Shark and Phone, and just dissects him brilliantly, talks about the sort of double bind of self in that you quite like him, and yet he's a glowering public figure as well. He's been on chat shows and panel shows. So Mark Nash was the first booktuber that I subscribed to, not knowing that this wonderful community of commenting and discussing books was even conceived of. That was 20, when will that have been? 2019, 2018, 2019. I found Mark Nash's video on Will Self, and he was the first person I subscribed to. Question 6, who is the most recent booktuber you subscribed to? And this happened yesterday. It was, I believe her name is Priscilla at the Evening Reader. And she has done a marvellous new video. One of her latest videos really drew me in, her discussion of AI. She mentions there is a weird phenomenon at the moment, I think it's called Books 3, where Zuckerberg's lot and Meta are essentially just hoovering up, I think it's 170,000 published works, and are using it as the essentially as the fodder for machine learning in their programs, I think. And so there's controversy over that, and then she goes into discussions about how fiction will be impacted and what fiction may look like in a couple of years' time when the inevitable AI takeover occurs, which was a really interesting video. She wasn't really pedagogical like I am. She wasn't punching her opinion through the screen like I do. She was very reserved and laid out all of the facts very nicely and did it in an engaging way. So yes, Priscilla at the Evening Reader. I subscribed to her. I think it's either this morning or last night, very recently, and I can't wait to see what else she does. Number 7, share an old favourite booktuber. Now I don't know. It's hard. It would be hard to do a video on favourite booktubers and not. I was going to use the word praise there, but I'm going to use the word mention. For Steve Donahue, he was the first, not the first person that I came across, but very quickly I came across him upon searching for Jordan Peterson when I was a passive and yet adrenalised and angry dude bro. And he is, I always feel, as I say, it feels as if the very, very popular politician is either pointing at me at one of his rallies in the crowd, or I am, as I say, the snotty postgraduate speechwriter who he brings on for a little bit of, gets me around his arm. So yeah, favourite. He's got thousands and thousands of videos. Does loads of live streams. So yeah, I'm going to have to go with that. I'm trying not to be too sycophantic because we're trying to be antagonistic, and so yeah. But yeah, he's probably my favourite. Probably, I'll have to admit that. Question 8: share a new favourite booktuber, and I've mentioned her already a few times as well on the channel. It's Renee at the Left-Handed Reader. She does, much like myself, with a little microphone down here on her lapel, does 30 and 40 minute videos discussing all sorts. One of her best videos I found was her discussion of A Little Life by Yanagihara. That was really good, but she always does reading updates. She always has, her settings are much more palatial than mine. And her audio's way better than mine. I might be after one of those mics actually. Renee, if you can tell me what on earth you're using, I might buy one of those, because it's not, the acoustics aren't that good. And so, yeah, she's really good. Renee at the left-handed reader, I think is her YouTube name. Yeah, she's really good. I'm never disappointed by her videos. Question 9. What is one of your BookTube pet peeves? Now, allow me, dear BookTube, I am going to list perhaps maybe 1 or 2. I've got a few things written down. The first one is cutting, which seem to make every single YouTube video, and the common denominator of this sort of immense cutting is of people that have north of 50,000 subscribers. They make their videos analogous or very, very similar to a Fast and Furious movie. It looks like it's been through the ringer of a Hollywood editorial. It's point, move change, point, move scene, point, and you just constantly feel, you never feel as if you're actually reaching out and meeting the person, because you're just getting their best bits. You're essentially getting a weird, convoluted compilation of a human being, rather than actually sort of imposing on a conversation, which is what I hope that you guys are feeling here, because I do it in one long stream. I don't like the immense cutting, and it is symptomatic of people who have spent so much time in the denizens of short form content on Instagram and YouTube, who seemingly cannot string a sentence together to save their lives, because, as I say, they spend so much time in the deluge of short form content online. But that's one of them. Another one is the kind of hucksterism. Again, it's all popular channels. I don't have many pet peeves about the smaller community that we have here, but the larger BookTube channels that they're just hucksters. There's a very, very distinct difference between finding content that your audience clearly like and reproducing that in an even more entertaining way, and just spewing out the stuff that gets you clicks. And it's this bizarre sort of inauthentic, and it's sort of like a vaudeville show. So it essentially, you know the type of videos I mean. So we dropped a book from 4,000 feet. This is what happens. I shoved Kafka's Metamorphosis up my rectum. Here's what happened. I melted 6 books and consumed the contents in a measuring jug. Here's what happened. In other words, when books become objects in and of themselves and not just stuff that you read, when they become, when you're using bookishness or books or conversations about books as a sort of weird pastiche. So there are books they're videos concerning books, but not videos that actually delve into any book in particular. And so, yeah, that really, does it grate me? I'm not sure. It's a pet peeve, and not something that I like. And again, just any sort of obvious inauthenticity or dishonesty, you know. That would be about it. So yeah, 2 or 3 of those. And then question 10, what have you learned from watching other booktubers? And I'd probably say in watching others back compared to mine, people are a little bit more patient with themselves. I am seemingly restless. I am the little whippet that goes on constantly and is some sort of, you know, juddering paralytic bloke, whereas other people are a lot more measured and take their time a little bit more and perhaps are a little bit more clearer. So that was one of the things that I put down. And then also, just in general, many specific things about books. In other words, I haven't learned much processional stuff from other booktubers, but I have learned that I've learned innumerable authors have been put on my lap just because of what other booktubers have talked about. So I haven't necessarily learned much about the craft of making booktube videos, but I've learned lots about books, which is obviously an unalloyed joy, which is excellent. So yes, thank you ever so much for tagging me / mentioning me, Steve. I hope I've done the tag justice as per usual. I shall probably think of 1 or 2 or 3 people to tag. I've tagged Renee at the Left-Handed Reader in all sorts beforehand, and she's never quite got around to doing it, so I'm a little put off doing that. But yes, hopefully I didn't rant too much. Hopefully my political infringements didn't damage the video too much. I'm going to have a quick drink. But yes, I believe upon last consultation we've now amounted to 500 subscribers, which is excellent. So yes, tell your friends, like, subscribe, touch the notification bell. Yes, we've reached over 500 subscribers, which is remarkable. That anybody thinks that this visage is somewhat interesting and rewardable. But yes, thank you ever so much for watching again. I will be back towards the end of the week with my discussion of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle for my last video for Booktober, which I'm enjoying now that it's daylight and I can actually read without the aid of electricity. So yes, thank you ever so much for watching. This has been the Watching BookTube Tag. I'm not going to mumble anymore. Thank you, BookTube.